The items on your book show are often as varied as the county of Shropshire itself, and this one is no exception. In today's programme, that revered children's author, the mighty Roald Dahl, comes under the scrutiny of Gaia. She's reviewing his autobiography, Boy.
And we'll be discussing our two reads this week: the young adult book Rebel Heart by Moira Young and Man Booker Prize longlisted Philida by Andre Brink.
But first, the mere mention of his name conjures up images of chocolate factories and giant peaches and suave, sophisticated foxes. Roald Dahl is one of the best storytellers the country has ever known. But what of his own story? Gaia has been reading his childhood autobiography, Boy.
An autobiography, but it's not written like word for word like you would like celebrities' autobiographies. It is a story about his life from when he was only little to when he was a teenager. We've been reading it at school together in English, and it's been really interesting picking bits out, doing comprehension about it and things, because it's just so fascinating to see what life was like back then and how much has changed. And he does, because it's written when he's quite a lot older, like, I don't know how old he was when he wrote it, but he does tell you about the comparisons between things when he was younger and what life was like for him when he was writing it. My favourite story? I do like The Great Mouse Plot. That is one I do like. They are very funny, the stories. I refer to them as stories, but really they're just like, I don't know. They're not stories, they're like just telling you what happened, but they're so funny and so like imaginative how he's written it. It seems like a story. I do think younger children would like it because of the humour, because it is written in a simple way. It's not tricky to read at all. But then I think older teenagers and even adults would enjoy it because it's just so fascinating to read about all the history.
Rebel Heart, Moira Young, is she another great children's author like Dahl?
Oh, I don't think you can compare the two. They're so very different. Rebel Heart is the second book in the Dustlands trilogy, and the first one, Blood Red Road, won the Costa Award. Now this one follows the journey of the young, fearless teenager Saba as she sort of goes around trying to keep her family and her friends and even her own sanity together as she travels on this journey through a kind of, well, it's like a Wild West style world.
If I haven't read the first one, will the action make sense in this?
Yeah, I think so. There is the point of the character Jack and trying to wonder, why are they finding Jack? Why are they looking for Jack? What's his relationship with Saba? What is all that about? And that is more explained in the first book, but it's not a problem. It sort of adds to the intrigue as to what the characters are about in this book. So I don't see it as an issue, no.
Who's Moira Young then?
Moira Young, she's a Canadian writer. She lives in the UK. She's not always been a writer, though. She trained as an actor and an opera singer as well. And she's even been a tap dancing chorus girl in the West End. But now, as a writer, she's really a big proponent of social media. She's on Twitter and etc. And she does these blog tours.
Blog tours?
Blog tours, yeah. Well, they're much like a normal book tour, but they're done online, obviously. So what she'll do is she'll go to lots of different literary blogs and websites. She'll write articles about it in promotion of the book before it's launched. And there'll be giveaways, prizes, lots of things. And that young teenagers are going to be excited about. It's the world that they're living in. And so if you're a writer for a teenage fiction right now, I think is the best place to be.
Now, you mentioned that she's a trained actor. Does that influence the book at all? Maybe. As I said, it is written in this kind of dialect, this Wild West world, and the dialect is written much like a script might be, so there's no speech marks. So you do have to work a little bit at trying to figure out who's saying what or when somebody is speaking rather than the descriptive or the narrative of the book. But it's worth keeping up with because it does draw you in and it makes you think more about the characters, so I don't think it's a problem. And I think teenagers are going to love it, and so does Ridley Scott, actually, who's optioned the first book to make into a feature film, which is already in the early stages of being written, I believe. Wow.
Andre Brink's new book is another epic, but a very different feel to it.
Yes, Philida. Now, it's about slavery, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's interesting because it starts with a grain of truth. It's based on Brink's real-life ancestors. Now, Philida is a black slave woman, 19th century Cape Town, Africa, and her owners, her master, his son, has given her 4 children. It was under the arrangement that then she would earn her freedom and that they would go on and be married. But they've run out of money and the father has said, actually, you're going to marry that white woman over there. Okay. And that's how the book starts, with her going off to make a complaint about it. But this journey is more than just a complaint. It's her first step towards independence and justice and what's right.
Gosh, well, that sounds quite full on.
It is so full on. It is so dark and hard and brutal. Philida's life has rape, beatings, all of these events. But the thing is, for the reader, it's so hard to turn the page because it's not from Philida's perspective, it's from the other person's perspective. It makes really uncomfortable reading. It's written in Afrikaans, so it's a little hard to get your head round, but persevere because it then you get with the flow of it. But if you're looking for lights within the dark, they're few and far between.
Now, is it made more difficult because it's based on truth?
Yes, it is. It's difficult because it's his history, his real history, with a dollop of imagination on the top of it. And the issues they're talking about, they are real and they are hard. But it's interesting debate-wise because lots of people say it's very brave of him to tackle something of his own shameful past and history, and other people are saying, actually, are you not exploiting, are you not profiteering from Philida herself? That debate will rumble on.
Yes, well, it's very tricky, isn't it, when an author is treading that fine line between creating fiction and discussing their own history. It's a very tricky area, isn't it? And how has that worked for this book?
Andre Brink is one of South Africa's greats when it comes to writing. I mean, Philida's been longlisted for the Man Booker, but he's been shortlisted for it twice before with 2 other novels. So, I mean, he's very, very well known, also internationally too. But would I recommend this book? I think that this book is a very hard read, a very uncomfortable read, but it's a very necessary book.
Shropshire is the most inspiring county. Many creative people have placed its landscape and legends at the heart of their work. Briarridge Books is a result of a collaboration between a poet and a photographer, Hilary Jane Jones and Tracy Swain. Their first book, The Wicked Wood, is already a local bestseller, and they're hoping to build on that success with their second publication, Shirelands.
How shall I describe it, this love that fills my heart? A warmth that colours life itself when we are worlds apart. Timeless, vibrant, glowing, immortal and sublime, sunshine on an autumn morn above the mists of time.
Always wanted to produce a book that introduces people to the landscape that I love, and never really found anywhere until I came to Shropshire that actually is as magical.
Light rises to caress me, brings you close, though you're not here. The universe reminds me that you're always somewhere near. My soul awaits that moment when back to me you'll come. Till then my heart lies bleeding in the shadow of the sun.
I didn't want it to be too intense. I wanted it to be quite at the heart, but really hit people. And just so that they, when they go out, go, oh, look, that looks like that picture we saw in the book. And to just bring a little magic back.
I think we both love the same things as well. I mean, we're both inspired by nature, but in our own way, and we're surrounded by this gorgeous, gorgeous landscape. Tracy photographs it, I write about it, so it seemed just to come together naturally.
Hilary writes very different poetry. I mean, there's some dark pieces in there, there's some menacing pieces, And then, you know, she'll write like It Snowed. It's like a 5-year-old who's just seen snow for the first time. I've very much got an inner child in me, and so I'm still like, you know, Winnie the Pooh and Pooh Sticks and things like that, and Hilary can sense that and bring it out.
Well, The Wicked Wood is it's an imaginary journey through real landscapes, and it's hopefully for people it's going to make them look at a wood differently next time they go through it. It's the sort of, if you go down to the woods today. I set out at the break of day, my destination far away. Beside the path an old man stood. Beware, he warned, the wicked wood. I think with Tracy's work, she just captures the landscape as it is. She doesn't add to it, and yet it just looks like something magical. She can always just capture the magic in the landscape and make you want to go there, or in my case, make me want to write about it. He pointed across the misty dale, who knew what lay beneath its veil? Here and there from out the shroud, a treetop broke the sea of cloud. My verse is quite visual. It's rhymed and it's visual. And I try to write so that I involve all of the senses, so it's not just what you see, but it's a sense of, you know, the smell of the heather, the sound of the skylarks, so it's everything combined. And I think unless you've used all the senses, you don't really capture the essence of a place. But it comes together quickly though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
There are times when we're tearing our hair out, but most of the time it comes together pretty quickly because we're just tuned into each other's way
I think
of
we
thinking.
both have quite a vivid imagination. I think that helps.
You can find Tracy and Hilary's work at briarridgebooks.co.uk or Burway Books in Church Stretton and other local bookshops.
Remember, if you have an interesting literary endeavour or you're reading a book that you just can't put down, we want to know about it. So until next time,
Keep reading.